Medium is Oculus's creation platform. It's digital clay, and we're building it for anyone.
This week in game news, Nintendo is 126 years old, having been established in 1889 as a playing card company. Samsung announced a $99 VR headset. We're giving away a Steam key for the newly released Assault Android Cactus. Sony has announced a 1TB Call of Duty PS4 for Western release, and it is ugly. And Kickstarter is no longer known as Kickstarter Inc., but Kickstarter PBC, a public benefit corporation, which essentially means that they're giving to charity and they're considering how the actions taken by their corporation affect society at large, which is pretty cool. Because there are so many interesting game projects on Kickstarter, this episode of Game News Update is our Kickstarter special. You'll be treated to some very interesting crowdfunding projects, so sit back and enjoy. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. Now, first off, so that they don't get lost in the shuffle of all the Kickstarters, here are some of this week's most interesting game releases. First off, released on Steam this week was Assault Android Cactus. The game is finally finished and looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a twin-stick shooter in which you play as the titular Cactus, an adorable little android who's ready for battle against rogue robots on a space station. There are other androids you can play as with different abilities. Overall, it's a fantastic game worth checking out. If you'd like to know about the creative process for the game, you can watch our interview with the developer at PAX East at blackmanandrobin.com. There, you can also find this week's Steam Key giveaway. It's quick, easy, and worth a shot. Assault Android Cactus is available for Mac, PC, Windows, and Linux, and is currently in development for other platforms including the Wii U. The hotly anticipated The Flame in the Flood was released this week in early access on Steam. According to its official Steam description, it's a roguelite journey through the backwaters of a forgotten post-societal America. What this tells us essentially is that it's a sort of adventure game that shares elements with post-apocalyptic survival games. In The Flame in the Flood, you're rolling down a procedurally generated river with your dog, trying to survive the wilds of the world, avoiding the ever-approaching rains. The game's coming from the art director of BioShock and other developers from Irrational, and it shows in the game's gorgeous aesthetics. Also, the game's soundtrack is by a man named Chuck Reagan, and it is beautiful. The Flame in the Flood is currently in development for Mac, Windows, and Xbox One.
It's incomparable, pretty incredible, so incredible, so incomparable. It's beautiful, it's a lovely piece of skill.
FIFA 16 was released this weekend. Well, it's FIFA. It got pretty good reviews, though it's mostly the same game as last year, and interestingly enough, the game now features female players, which is pretty cool, though you can't pit them against the guys, probably because the fellows will flop about and get utterly trounced by the ladies. FIFA 16 is out now for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Windows, and then there's the mobile version of the game, FIFA 16 Ultimate Team on iOS and Android. For Nintendo fans, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer was released this week on the Nintendo 3DS. It's an Animal Crossing spin-off in which you're an interior designer creating comfy homes for the animal characters of a village. It's pretty cute, and if you enjoyed the interior design aspect of the last Animal Crossing game, you should absolutely check out Happy Home Designer. If interior design isn't really your jam, I can't be sure that you'll really enjoy it. Coming out this week is Jotun. In Jotun, you play as Thora, a Viking warrior who met a less than glorious end. If you know Norse mythology, then you know that in order to enter Valhalla, you must die in an epic fashion. Go big or go home. That's the Viking way. So in Jotun, you're granted another shot at Valhalla. To get there, you have to fight monstrous giants in order to prove yourself. If you're a fan of Titan Souls, this game, which primarily focuses on boss battles, is a bit similar. Personally, I'm not really sure if it's my thing, but I must say that the art is absolutely stunning. If you've been looking for something perhaps like the aforementioned Titan Souls, or even Shadow of the Colossus, okay, maybe not entirely Shadow of the Colossus, but you get the idea, you will want to check out Jotun.
Is this thing working? Hello? Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Oh, I guess. Hi!
Also coming out this week is Armikrog. From the creators of Earthworm Jim and The Neverhood, a couple of games that I really loved when I was younger, Armikrog is a point-and-click adventure game in which you play as a fellow named Tommyknot and go on adventures with his blind-talking alien dog, Beak-Beak, solving puzzles and exploring a strange, beautiful world made of clay. Like The Neverhood, Armikrog employs claymation and it looks very, very good. It's worth noting that this game was a big success on Kickstarter. It'll be out on September 30th, 2015 for Mac, Linux, and Windows.
And what we gotta do is figure out how to get out of this dump so we could get on with finding a power source to save our whole planet. Well, I guess that's pretty much the plan right now. And as I said, I'm gonna do everything I can to help Tommyknot. You know why? Because that's what friends are for. Hey, song cue. In good times and bad times, I'll be...
So, this is our Kickstarter special. Today, the first game on Kickstarter that we'll be talking about is Healing Process. It's a game about a man named Charles Russell, a surgeon who lost his wife and suffered a deep and terrible depression. The game's world is based on Tokyo, and the whole project looks to be very ambitious. The game is set to be released on Mac, Linux, and Windows in November of 2016. It's not too often that you come across an adventure game with a terribly depressed protagonist. It looks like the story of this game is going to be talking a lot about love, loss, and moving on with your life. It's been quite nice seeing the recent influx of rather serious adventure games as of late. You can download the demo for Healing Process from the game's Kickstarter page. Like all the Kickstarters in today's episode, you can find a link to the project at blackmanandrobin.com if you'd like to learn more. Keep in mind that it'll be on our post for the September 26, 2015 Game News Update. If you can't find that on the front page, just type in September 26, 2015 into the search bar, it should pop right up. Our next Kickstarter isn't so much for games as for game criticism. The name of the project is A Theory of Violence by Amsel von Spreckelsen. It's what he's calling a meditation on violence as motive force in the worlds of games. It's not a lecture on the evils of violence in games, rather, it's meant to be an examination of violence in games and how it's employed. The book is set to be finished and shipped March of 2016, and the Kickstarter ends on September 28, 2015, which is not too long after this episode airs, so be sure to check it out quickly. Alright, you want more games? Well, check out Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs. It's a licensed game based on the 1986 space western, and it looks a little crazy in a good way.
Mankind has taken to the stars, colonizing planets throughout the universe, settling peacefully across the new frontier. But then, They came. Vapor beings, the Outriders, attacking without warning, killing without mercy. Lacking in compassion and humanity, they excelled in technology. They came for our resources. Mankind stood their ground, but learned all too painfully that vapor beings don't die in our dimension. They jump, then return, relentless, unstoppable.
This project is very, very 80s. It's based off an anime series that was done in 1984 by Studio Pierrot, which you may know for their work on Naruto. As far as the series itself goes, Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs is a different sort of space western, unlike other anime series that may come to mind when you think of space westerns such as Cowboy Bebop or Trigun or Outlaw Star. Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs is a whole lot more like Voltron. There are mechs, an alien invasion, and a Sentai squad. Regarding the game, if you're looking for a 16-bit platformer, you should absolutely check this one out. Interestingly enough, besides coming to Mac, Linux, and Windows, the game is also being ported to the Nintendo 3DS, Sega Dreamcast, and, you might not have heard of this one, the TurboGrafx 16 PC engine. It's set to be released November of 2016. If you're on the fence about it, you can download the Dreamcast demo of the game, burn it to a disc, or run it in an emulator, and try it on an actual Dreamcast, which is pretty cool. If you're a fan of the Tales of series, or if you're interested in seeing an African fantasy RPG, you're going to want to see Arion, Legacy of the Kori-Odan. It's currently on Kickstarter and it's absolutely gorgeous. The game has been in development for some years by Kori-Odan Games. It's inspired by such RPG classics as the Tales of series, as we mentioned before, and Final Fantasy. There's something about the game's aesthetic that reminds me of the SNES version of Pitfall: A Mayan Adventure, albeit in much higher definition. The game's development team is out of Yaoundé in Cameroon. This is my first time hearing about game development coming out of Cameroon. It's nice to see an ARPG coming from a country we don't often think about for its game development. Arion, Legacy of the Kori-Odan is set to be released April of 2016 for Windows. Do you love dinosaurs? Don't lie, because you love dinosaurs. How do you feel about tycoon games? Well, I don't know how you feel about those, but I do feel safe assuming that you'll want to hear about Mesozoica, a tycoon game in which you run a prehistoric park. The game takes after Jurassic Park Operation Genesis and seems particularly interesting in that it'll also allow you to play from the perspective of a dinosaur. The game has been in development for some while now, and it's going into alpha this December. The Kickstarter page has a ton of information on the game itself, but inexplicably doesn't mention what platforms it's coming to. I'm assuming it's coming to Windows, but I'm not completely sure. This is a rather bizarre oversight on the part of the developers, but frankly running a Kickstarter is stressful, and I can understand accidentally missing something like that. The last Kickstarter we're featuring is for The Meatly, a webcomic that I'm quite a fan of. I'll let the trailer speak for itself.
From the start, I really wanted to find a new way to support game developers, and also create quality game titles of my own. With the success of the Meatly comic, now feels like the perfect time to grow, but I can't do it without you, so here's the deal. With your support, I can create the Meatly Game Studio, get the technology to support and review other amazing games, produce the long-awaited The Meatly YouTube show, host more awesome game jams, stock the Meatly store with lots of cool stuff, and of course produce more comics more often. You know, people have asked, who is the Meatly anyway? I like to think the Meatly's all of us. The programmer who just spent the night stamping out every last bug in the code. The artist who finally drew those tricky eyes just right. The composer whose music brings the whole moment together. The writer who just now figured out the best story twist ever. And even the player who can't wait to jump in and experience something new. We're all the Meatly. We all need each other. And right now, I need you to help me make this happen. With your help, we can make something incredible for all of us, each other. And right now, I need you to help me make this happen. With your help, we can make something incredible for all of us. There's more info below, rewards, all that good stuff. Check it out. And as always, never stop creating. And now if you'll excuse me, I have idea fairies to hunt. Let's roll.
I encourage you to explore Kickstarter for yourself. There are a rich array of unique games worth checking out. I could have included some of the weirder stuff, but wait, what's this? I never greenlit this, but fine. This last game is called Who's Your Daddy, and it was born out of a joke. A multiplayer game in which one player is a baby running around a house doing dangerous things, and the other player is the father trying to stop the baby from killing himself. The game is already fully funded, and it's coming out December of 2015. On September 24th, the Oculus Connect keynote was held. As you may guess from its title, it's an event put on by Oculus VR for their upcoming virtual reality headset, the Oculus Rift. Oculus Connect is a developer-focused event. It's really meant for the people who are making the games. That said, there were some announcements that will excite gamers just as much as developers, such as the news of a new Gear VR, Samsung's virtual reality solution for phones. With the Gear VR, you just pop in your Samsung phone and presto, you have virtual reality goggles. The finished version of the device is coming out November of 2016, and at $99 it costs half as much as the developer edition. The Gear VR's one caveat is that it's only compatible with the latest Samsung devices. My Lenovo K3 Note won't play nicely with it, which is a pity. That said, if you own a Samsung Galaxy S6 and you'd like to get into VR cheaply, check out the Gear VR. Oculus Arcade was also announced. It's essentially a virtual arcade that you can walk around in and play classic games, such as Pac-Man and others from Namco, Midway, and Sega. It's coming to the Gear VR. That's not all, however. Minecraft was also announced for the Oculus Rift. This time, a proper version optimized for VR. While it's currently possible to play Minecraft using an Oculus Rift, you need messy third-party workarounds. Interestingly enough, Notch, the former head developer on Minecraft, said that he would never want his game coming to the Oculus Rift after Facebook acquired Oculus VR. Keep in mind, however, that Mojang, the company that developed Minecraft, is now owned by Microsoft. It doesn't surprise me that the game is now coming to the Oculus Rift. Beyond the Oculus Connect event, there is more virtual reality news from this week. The Samsung Gear VR is getting an exclusive first-person adventure puzzler called Land's End from the developers of Monument Valley. Judging by the art, it looks like it's set in the same world as the aforementioned game, but I can't tell for certain. What I do know about the game is that you're exploring landscapes, and you are supposed to be awakening a lost civilization. While I don't know what exactly the game will be like, if its quality is anything like that of Monument Valley, it's going to be fantastic. You can't buy BioShock anymore. At least, not on the iOS App Store. 2K's Objectivist FPS was removed from the App Store after the iOS 8.4 update essentially broke it. If you purchased the game, there's no way to re-download it. And 2K says that they're in the process of fixing the game in order to put it back up on the App Store soon. Will this be available to purchase again before Batman Arkham Knight? Time shall tell. In hackery news, remember the PlayStation TV? You might have heard of it. The system was released last October, and it's essentially a Vita that's not portable, but sits to the side of your television. It can run some, but not all PlayStation Vita games. Well, great news. There's now a workaround that allows you to run any Vita game on the PlayStation TV. I can't guarantee how well they'll run or how playable they'll be due to these hardware differences between the PlayStation TV and the PlayStation Vita, and the requirements that some games have for the Vita's unique hardware. For instance, the touchpad on the back of the device is called for in some games. It is, however, quite possible to enjoy Uncharted Golden Abyss on your big screen. You can find more information about this at hackinformer.com. Released on Steam this week was Concrete Jungle, a city planning game that takes a puzzling approach to city building. Seriously, it's puzzling. The game plays more like a puzzle game than a traditional city builder. You have a deck of cards that you use to place buildings, and thus far, the game has gotten good critical reception. Besides boasting gorgeous visuals and having a fully voiced story mode, there's also local competitive and co-op multiplayer for up to 4 people. Concrete Jungle is currently available for Windows. If you're looking for a good deal on some good games, you may want to check out this week's Humble Bundles. While the main one is pretty decent, featuring Sega's Total War franchise of strategy games, you can get Rome 2 in the $15 tier along with some DLC, the Medieval Total War Collection, Empire Collection, Shogun 2, and Napoleon Collections in the BTA tier, and the original Rome, Shogun, and Medieval 2 games in the dollar tier, along with Viking Battle for Asgard for some reason. The Humble Weekly Bundle is what really stands out. In the dollar tier are a bunch of games that'll be featured at Fantastic Arcade from September 28th through October 1st, 2015. The Fantastic Arcade, for the uninitiated, is an indie game showcase taking place in Austin, Texas. You can find out more about it at fantasticfest.com. This week's Humble Weekly Bundle boasts 6 games that are at the show, namely Hellmouth, Aaliyah, Pokey, Risky Bison, Crap, No One Loves Me, and Wheels of Aurelia. In the $8 tier are Fez, Hotline Miami, Luftrausers, No Breaks Valet, Mirror Moon EP, and Fract OSC. I can vouch for Luftrausers as being an awesome arcade game with a fantastic aesthetic. Fez is a great puzzler, and while I've not yet played it, Wheels of Aurelia has me excited. It's a racing game combined with a narrative adventure set in 1970s Italy. Check this one out at humblebundle.com/weekly. It runs until Thursday, October 1st, 2015. Also, while none of the 6 games in the main tier mention it, I do know that if you pay at least $1 for this bundle, you'll get a Steam key for Wheels of Aurelia once it's greenlit. Finally this week, we leave you with a trailer for the After Dark update that has just hit Cities Skylines. It shows off a bunch of new features of the update as well as the paid expansion. If you'd like to know more about that, check out blackmanandrobin.com. Also, while you're there, be sure to enter our Assault Android Cactus Steam Key giveaway. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Game News Update. For all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews, be sure to follow at blackmanandrobin on Twitter and Instagram. For my own views, be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron, and be sure to tune in next week.
Oh, there you are. Splendid. Say, how was your flight? Did you sleep? Did you eat? Was the movie all right? Well, you're here, and that's great. We're all stoked for your visit. Our fair city is just as you left it. Or is it? In a hurry? Don't worry. We'll jump in a taxi and check out our beaches, crisp, clean, and relaxy. Try our beach bars and stools. There are fish you can fish for. Ride around on a jet ski if that's what you wish for. And once that's all done, when you've seen every sight, why, just wait till you check out our city at night. Here it comes, there it goes, all the lights are appearing, all sparkly and twinkly and bright and endearing. Try the pub or the club, hit the gym for a run. Give bowling a whirl if that strikes you as fun. We've got parks just for skaters, cafes for daters, restaurants and waiters, new ports for freighters, museums employing the greater curators. But I'm sure you'll have fun here, my word you can mark. So welcome to our city. It's fun after dark.
Oh no, Star Service!
Adios, amigo.